So therefore, the message that Dr. Martin Luther King, the message that Jesus, the message that Gandhi, the message that Moses, the message that was spread throughout the year of freedom has not yet sunk into our consciousness. Because when we look into our world, when we look into our own affairs, we are not yet free. That's why today, when we sit back and we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King, we must begin this celebration with an elevation in consciousness. We do like so many other people have done for so long. They have accepted being a Christian, but forgot what Christianity was all about. You see, they have forgotten and accepted Dr. Martin Luther King, but they've forgotten what his message was all about. You see, a lot of times we get wrapped up in the personality, in the man, and we forget what the message is all about. It says, study to show thyself approved. We have to begin to study that message and understand what that message is, and to begin to assimilate that message so that that message can become a part of us. There's no other way that you can rise above things in life unless you first begin to thought it through. All things are thoughts. Slavery is a thought. It becomes prevalent in our world and affairs because we manifest that. Because so many times we think less than the best of ourselves. We think less than the best, and we allow certain situations to happen in our experience. So today, when we begin to celebrate this message that is being presented to us today, we cannot allow it to our intellect to rob us and pass it on through, but we carry it within us so that our light can be a beacon of a consciousness of freedom. Let freedom ring so that it can run like a mighty river from the top of our heads to the very soles of our feet. Let freedom ring so that it can begin to ignite every cell and every fiber of our being. When we look out into this world, one of the things that the great leaders, you will notice, before they begin their ministry, before they begin their journey of trying to free and work and discover anything for anybody else, they first had to work on themselves. That's right. They first had a mountaintop experience. They first had to go to a place where they met God at the altar, when God's mind and our minds connect. And you begin to look at the little mind and put it to the side. It said, Christ said, if you want to follow me, deny yourself. You have to get yourself out of the way and allow that divine presence that is within each and every one of us to guide us on our journey so that his work can be your work in his presence and in his power. So when we let freedom ring, we look into our own life, our own world, and our own affairs. And we begin to protest and boycott all the things that keep us from expressing the true spiritual nature of who and what we are. We begin to boycott all of the things that bring us closer and closer to who we are not. You see, this image that we've taken on and accepted as when we say, this is me. We have not yet even touched the hem of the garment and fully understanding who me is. Do you know without the spirit of life, the true essence of who you are, there would be no me? Did you know when Jesus said, when you see me, you see the Father? When we get to that understanding, to that level of consciousness, we begin to realize that there is no me. It's only God. Amen. It's only God just expressing himself through this experience that I have chosen to live. You see, but when we left out of that indignant state of consciousness, we begin to degenerate. And you see, now our journey is to regenerate, to get ourselves back into that indignant state of consciousness where freedom reigns. And we can answer that call. You see, when we think about our lives and how we was created, all of our cells are God's cells. And all of our cells come with a certain intelligence. When your body is cut or hurt, all of your cells automatically get together and do what God's cells only know how to do. Make good, whole, and complete. And they bring that body back to its grand natural state in which it was when they are not adulterated by slavery thoughts. You see, over the period of time in our experience, what we have did is we have trained ourselves to think negative thoughts. thoughts that bring upon slavery, so that sometimes our body is in sickness, sometimes our body is in pain, sometimes our body goes through an experience called old age, sometimes our body even goes to that point called death. And we know that as long as your body is the cells that are God's cells, there can be no sickness, there can be no death, there can be no old age. But we have taught ourselves how to respond to our thoughts, because we have looked outside of ourselves into this race consciousness, and everything that this race consciousness has created, we have accepted and said, this is who I am. So when freedom reigns, this is what we're freeing ourselves from, the limitations of just being human. We're freeing ourselves from the negative concepts that are out here in this world, but we're bringing in fresh new ideas that are in alignment with who and what we truly are. And we're retraining ourselves. We're taking back our rightful place within our own self. You see, we all have established an ego, and that ego is only easing God out. We've eased God out of this experience. Now we must lean not on our own understanding, but acknowledge God and allow Him to direct our thoughts, our paths. And we begin to connect our minds with our meditation, with our study, with our worship, with our prayer, with our song, everything that we begin to do. Then we open up that avenue for freedom, so that freedom can begin to ring back in our experiences and in our life. We have been holding on. Some call it tradition, some call it heredity. I've inherited that. My grandmother had that. It's in my family. It's in this. And so we just openly accepted it and graciously said, I am this. I am that. And therefore the power of our word can do nothing but go out there and create that thing that we said it is, because of the power of who we are. And therefore we're putting ourselves back in slavery to this body. We put ourselves into slavery to this mind. You see, a lot of times when we try to meditate, what is one of the biggest problems with meditation that we have? Quieting the mind. We cannot get that chatterbox to be quiet for nothing. It just continues to just keep on chattering. You're trying to be quiet and find God. It's trying to tell you about what's going on down the street. It's trying to tell you about what's
Amen.
It's trying to tell you about everybody else's goodness, instead of you sitting there getting to know thyself. Yourself is beyond words. Yourself is beyond the mind and the thoughts that are chattering in your body. That's what you were given the power to. You see, you were given a life. Your life is nothing but energy. It takes intelligence to create form. That intelligence, matched with that energy, create our experiences. We think we smart, but we know not. We know not. Ears have not heard the power and the things that God can do to those who love and trust and believe in Him. This is our journey. This is His message today. His message today is to let freedom reign. We must sound the bell.
Amen.
We must sound the bell. We must answer the call. We must say, ring in me freedom. When the young lady said that she couldn't hold back the tears, you can't hold back God. That is the joy of God, knowing that I'm free. You do not know the flesh. And when you go down, I don't know any drug addict that really want to be a drug addict, but they have fell prey to what it is that has overpowered them. They're weak in their understanding because they don't know who and whose they are. Once you come into the realization, she said, everything that she said is, I've got to know God again. I've got to connect back with who I am. When I got to connect back with who I am, I got the strength that I needed to say, no more drugs. I'm free. And when we can connect back with that source and who we are, we can say, no more sickness, I'm free.
Amen.
No more lack and poverty, I'm free. No more worrying and concern, I'm free. I'm at peace. I have a peace that passes all human understanding. Does that mean that you will not go through any experiences, Greg? No. But you will have the power to free yourself from that experience. You will have the power